Jerry, have pretty darn good numbers against Dickey because the Red Sox knocked him around last year. He was 0-3 against Boston.
Yeah, Mookie Betts very good numbers, Bogarts very good numbers, Ramirez good numbers, Sandoval pretty good numbers in a limited amount of bats. But yeah, the big switch in the lineup today. Ortiz with the day off and Jackie Bradley Jr. with the day off today.
It was good to see Guerin in her Bruin colors today. Huge game for the Bruins, dropping the puck around the same time this game is getting underway back at the Garden. John Farrell trying to make it 2 consecutive wins against the team he used to manage. John heard the Boo Birds yesterday when his name was announced. Nothing new to him. He's used to it when he comes here to Toronto.
He got a big time when he first came back here as a manager of the Red Sox, and of course he got it again last night. But he doesn't care because he got the final result in the game last night that he wanted.
Indeed, Red Sox coming back from 5 runs down to win 8-7. They were trailing 7-2 after 4 innings, but stormed back to take the lead in the 7th inning. The largest deficit the Red Sox overcame to win in 2015 was just 4 runs. That was against the Oakland A's in June. And according to Elias, that was the 170th time the Red Sox have rallied from 5 runs down. Here's how it started with a grand slam by Brock Holt.
Now Brock Holt, that line drive, he gets the fastball down, and then that's a pitch he's able to pull with authority, and he certainly did last night. And boy, the momentum really changed in this game on the Brock Holt hit. He has done everything so far this season. 8 RBIs already.
Saw him downstairs in the clubhouse, and he said, you know, I am 1 home run from besting what I did all of last year. He's very excited about already having 2 home runs. He's on a pace to hit 60. Time for the starting lineup now. It's brought to you by BuyAToyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. It'll be Mookie Betts to lead it off. Dustin Pedroia at second base. Xander Bogaerts maybe catching fire last night. You see what he's done against Dickey. Travis Shaw in there at first base. Hanley Ramirez the DH. Pablo Sandoval against Toronto hit well last year. He's at third. Brock Holt at left. Rusney Castillo in center field. Blake Swihart is the catcher, and batting ninth against the man with the butterfly pitch, R.A. Dickey. He's 1-0 on the season. Last year he went 11-11. He's a former Cy Young Award winner with the New York Mets in 2012, and he is a New York Times best-selling author. Dickey now 41 years old.
The Blue Jays defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They've made 4 errors in the 5 games that they've played. Darwin Bonnie will be at third base. Troy Tulowitzki, the shortstop. Ryan Goins at second. Edwin Encarnacion, the first baseman, in the outfield. Carrera, Pilar, Batista. And doing the catching, Josh Tolley, who always catches R.A. Dickey.
Today's umpires are brought to you by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota certified used vehicle right now. Jerry in the slow lane will have the calls behind home plate. He takes his time letting you know it's a strike or a ball. Under Wendelstad at first, Trip Gibson at second, and Clint Fagan, the umpire, at third base. Hey, we're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your TV remote. SAP presented by ToyotaCertified.com. Search for your factory-backed Toyota certified used vehicle right now.
Buenas tardes, amigos.
Dickey last year 0-3 against the Red Sox. 2 years ago he went 4-0 against Boston, but did not win a game last year. Red Sox kind of had his number with a 4.62 ERA, and Mookie Betts will try and keep that going here into the new season. It was a quiet night for Mookie at the top of the order last night. He went 0 for 5. So he's 2 for 15 thus far. We are set for the first knuckleball of the day. And of course we'll be keeping very close watch on the Bruins contest against Ottawa at the Garden. A giant game for the Bees. And the first one outside for ball 1. Mookie last year .291 with 18 home runs. Good numbers against Dickey, .348. Bounding ball to Tulowitzki, who circles that, throws off balance, and gets it. And if you're looking for the Bruins Senators game, head on over to NESN Plus. You can come back and join us at any time. To find your NESN Plus channel, visit NESN.com/NESN Plus. Tuukka Rask is not in the pipes today because he's ill. Today of all days, Gustafsson is in the net. Here's Dustin Pedroia now. He's reached base in 22 consecutive games against Toronto, and he'll take ball 1. Petey 1 for 4 last night. He started the 7th inning rally with a single. And he scored the tying run 7-7 and rips one into right field for a base hit. That gets to Bautista on one big bounce. He loves to hit against Toronto.
Yeah, Bautista loves to throw to first base too. Did you see him out there in the outfield? He was looking to make sure that Pedroia was hustling down the line, because if he was not, he would have probably made a throw to first base. That ball was hit so hard and it was so shallow. See him take a look right there? But that's a good thing. Dustin was hustling down the line and no play at first base, but always looking for that advantage is Bautista.
Pedroia always running hard up that line. Xander Bogaerts will climb in. Xander was 3 for 5 in the Red Sox victory last night. He scored what turned out to be the game-winning run in the 7th inning on the Hanley Ramirez RBI single. I would bet more than a few of you who are watching right now, and the game was 7-2 after the grand slam by Donaldson, you might have said, you know, I'm going to go see what else is on for a little while, and then maybe came back to the ball game here on NESN a while later and were shocked at the score.
I think we were doing the game.
We were.
It seemed like Toronto had complete control of that ball game last night, but that changed in a hurry in the middle innings.
Outstanding rally. Red Sox hoping today they don't have to do that. 2 consecutive subpar performances by the rotation after the outstanding effort by David Price. So there's some heat on Rick Porcello today. The 0-2 swung on and foul tipped into the mid. That'll be strike 3 as totally hung on, and they're 2 down.
A pretty good knuckleball that time by Dickey. As I mentioned, he throws it harder than Stephen Wright or Tim Wakefield. You'll see the knuckleball right there, the lack of rotation on the baseball and dipping right at the end. That ball cleanly picked by Tolley, the catcher, and out number 2.
Stephen Wright with his knuckleball on display tomorrow in the finale of this road trip. Red Sox with a 2-1 record. And here comes Travis. Shaw looking at a strike. He was 1 for 2 with a walk and a double, and he scored 2 runs last night. He's getting his first start at first base today. Smaller crowd than yesterday, which was the season opener. It was opening night for Toronto. And it was jam-packed, but they were pretty quiet at the end. Red Sox put a real damper on it. Hanley Ramirez on deck. And Dickey with an 0-2. That's in there for strike 3. Got him looking. And the side is retired. The Red Sox will strand 1. We're underway here in Toronto. No score after a half inning. Toronto celebrated a division title. Many think they'll win it again in 2016. We will see. But here's a look at their lineup, brought to you by your New England Chevy dealers. Kevin Pillar in center. Josh Donaldson is the DH. Jose Bautista has numbers against Porcello. Encarnacion at first. Tulowitzki the shortstop. Ezekiel Carrera is in left field after Tulowitzki. Goins at second. Darwin Barney at third base. And Tolley the catcher. All up against the right-hander Rick Porcello. 9-15 last season. A .492 ERA. Making his 2016 debut in the ballpark that saw him get knocked back to the minor leagues last July, when he gave up 7 runs, 7 hits in 2 innings. And by the time he made his next start, it was for the Paw Sox.
And he has always had trouble up here in Toronto. In 6 games, 5 starts, 1-5 with a 7.39 ERA.
In there for a strike on Pilar. He rifled a triple to right field to start the scoring last night. And he was hit by a pitch by Joe Kelly. Fouled away. A 96-mile-an-hour fastball off the brim of the helmet. It spun the helmet right off his head. But he jumped right back up in the 4th inning. And he was okay. He signaled to Joe, "I'm all right," and "We're okay." I know it wasn't on purpose. It seemed to shake up Kelly more than it did Pilar.
He did. It really did. You know, that we talk about the hitters all the time, and it's, of course, it's nasty for the hitters, but it also for the pitchers. I mean, he's not trying to do that. And you're concerned about his health.
1-2 pitches outside. Donaldson on deck. Joe with a terribly short outing, but the bullpen picked him up in a major way. 6 shutout innings for the Red Sox pen, allowing only 2 hits. And I thought for Junichi Tozawa a gigantic step forward, didn't you? Because mentally he had such a block about facing Toronto.
And you remember things like that. You know the teams, the hitters that give you a problem, and certainly the Toronto Blue Jays have been a problem for Tozawa, but last night he was able to overcome that.
A 1-2-3 inning. The 2-2 jammed him, and foul tip to the mid for strike 3. Made a great pitch there at 92, in on the knuckles.
Yeah, coming inside with 2 strikes. Basically everything had been away prior to that, and then Porcello comes inside with the fastball. The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. 1 error in 3 games. Pablo Sandoval gets his first start at third base. Xander Bogaerts the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second. Travis Shaw the first baseman. Holt, Castillo, Betts in the outfield. And Swihart doing the catching for Porcello.
Donaldson now the reigning most valuable player of the American League. And any thoughts that his strained right calf might limit his power disappeared over the left field fence in the 4th inning last night with his grand slam. Although he really can't run, certainly can swing. And here's a look last night.
Gets a hanging slider that stayed inside last night, and he lost it. But you're right, Dave. He really is having trouble getting around. That's why he's the DH.
Darwin Barney at third base. Lofted foul back out of play. One of the first times Donaldson began to get noticed was in the summer of 2006 when he was an all-star catcher in the Cape League for the Harwich Mariners. He was at Auburn University at the time, and he drove in 21 runs that summer, and the scouts began to take a hard look. That's a ball inside, and fans be sure to stop by Plainridge Park Casino. Plainridge Park Casino is the official sponsor of winning. One man out, nobody on for Toronto. Bautista on deck. Socked foul again.
See, that's not the location Porcello wants that pitch. He needs that pitch down like the previous one. When he missed down and out of the strike zone. That last pitch too much elevated and gives Donaldson a chance to do something with it. That time he fouls it off, but that's way too good a pitch. Too far up in the zone.
That's where Porcello was getting into trouble during spring training. He had an ERA near 10 in the spring. The 2-2. High fly ball to foul. Donaldson became one of the most feared hitters in the game last year. 41 homers, 123 RBIs.
That pitch is supposed to be away, but it stays inside. Again, a mislocation right there, but fortunately Donaldson out in front of it.
He's not going to keep missing those. Two-two. Lined into right field for a base hit. So Donaldson goes the other way with a 1-out single, and Bautista will march up to swing.
That's now a 6-game hitting streak for Donaldson as he elects with 2 strikes to go to the opposite field. Very nice hitting right there. Down in the count, a couple of strikes, and takes that ball to the opposite field for the base hit. And again, watching him go down to first base, he was not running well at all.
Joey Bats had a rare night last night where he did no damage to the Red Sox. He was 0 for 4 and struck out 2 times. But he's had success against Porcello, and he will take low ball 1. It just missed.
That's a pitch right there. Porcello's got to have. He's got to have those low fastballs called strikes.
That could have been a strike.
Should have been.
He's 11 for 26 against Rick. High fly, deep left, hold back at the wall, leaping, and it's gone. Just like that, Porcello gets hit again, and it's 2-0. Well, those 2 innings last July 1st here in Toronto, they hit 3 home runs off him.
Oh, that pitch, another bad location. The ball's supposed to be away. It stays inside. That's what Bautista loves it. And a line drive home run, his 2nd career home run off Porcello. Dave mentioned the .423 batting average before that at bat.
That hung up there for him. Encarnacion tried to check, but he went on a swing and a miss. 2-0. Jose Bautista, who hit 40 last year, cranks one against Porcello here in the 1st inning. Line shot into right center field. That'll drop down for a base hit. That's 3 consecutive hits against Porcello. Everything is up, up, up.
Exactly right. He's only missed down a couple of times so far in this game. The remainder of the pitches have been up in the zone, and that's when he gets hit hard. Interesting, the base hits both by Donaldson and Encarnacion both going to the opposite field. The home run being pulled by Bautista. Again, that pitch supposed to be away. It's up in the strike zone, and Encarnacion going to right field for the base hit.
I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say that each of these last 3 hitters had a ball to hit they could have hit out of the ballpark. And Bautista has done it. Donaldson and Encarnacion could have too. Here's Tulowitzki. He's very capable. He looks at strike 1.
Now that's more like what you have to have right there for Porcello. That area down in the bottom of the strike zone, trying to induce ground balls.
Tulowitzki 1 for 7 lifetime against Porcello. He deals one in there for a called strike. Porcello 6'5", 200 pounds, from Morristown, New Jersey. Made 28 starts for the Red Sox last year and allowed 25 home runs. And up top for a ball. Now the Bruins have a 1-0 lead after the first period against Ottawa. So off to a good start in a must-win. Red Sox trailing here 2-0 in the 1st inning. Bounced up there and stopped by Swihart to keep the runner at first base.
Yeah, nice job by Blake Swihart there as he goes down. Does not try to catch the ball, just tries to block it out in front of him, so that'll keep the runner at first base and keep him out of scoring position. Look, it might have been a changeup that time from Porcello, and a very nice job by Swihart to block it.
Caught him on one of his tattoos, I think, on that left arm. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Off the edge of the plate at 92.
Tried the comeback at that time. The 2-seam fastball where you started outside, hope it comes back to the outside corner.
Ezekiel Carrera would be next. It's been such a struggle for everybody other than David Price to work the 1st inning. 3-2. Line shot center field. Castillo will make the catch. Chest high, but another bullet. Out number 2. Nothing hit gently. So Carrera will step in next, the left-handed hitter from Venezuela, real speed merchant. Had 45 steals last year for Toronto. Blue Jays ahead 2-0 on a Jose Bautista home run. Bautista could well be a free agent after this season. And the fastball drilled in. 0-1 on Carrera, who has played for Cleveland, the Phillies, and the Tigers. Two down and a man on, and 3 hits in the inning. And that's going to be in there for a strike, says Jerry Lane.
It's like the first curveball that Porcello's dropped in today in the first inning. And not a bad one at all. Right over the top. A little bit of a 12-6 action on this curveball.
Tied him up and swung on and missed for strike 3, and that'll retire the side. But the Red Sox once again in a position they have to come back. 2-0 Toronto after 1. You head over to NESN Plus today. To find your NESN Plus channel, visit NESN.com/NESN Plus. Tuukka Rask is not playing because of illness today. Gustafsson, the backup, is in the net, and a Bruins loss in regulation eliminates them from the playoffs. And we're going to be talking with Jack and Brick in just a moment from the Garden because they're in intermission after the first period here. It is 2-0 Toronto. Bautista blasting a home run off of Rick Porcello, who continues to have nightmares when he faces the Blue Jays. He's not alone in that regard in the American League. R.A. Dickey. And Hanley takes a big cut but pops it into short right. Goins out, coming on Bautista, and Goins both grab it for the out. So one swing and one out. Pablo Sandoval, who gets the nod today at third base, about to dig in here against the knuckleballer.
You know, there's all kind of approaches of trying to hit the knuckleball. You ask every player, they probably tell you something different. You know, move up in the box, spread out your feet, swing early in the count before they throw that real nasty one, because they're trying to get a strike early in the count, and a lot of times it's not a big dancer. That time Ramirez swinging early in the count and popping it up. But everybody's got a different theory.
Well, here's Sandoval up on the left side. He is back to switch hitting this year. Last year just .245 with 10 home runs. He lost his starting job to Travis Shaw, who's been swinging a good bat. Travis at first base today, and fouled there at home plate. Sandoval, decent numbers against Dickey. .296. He's 8 for 27 with a home run. April means baseball at Fenway. Great tickets for the opening homestand, including Patriots Day, are still available. Visit redsox.com/tickets for more information. Big cut and a foul ball by the Panda.
Sandoval's had one at bat this season. That was a line drive to center field in a pinch hitting role.
Brock Holt on deck. Swing and a miss. Down he goes. Third strikeout for Dickey.
Now Dickey in his first outing had 3 strikeouts total against Tampa Bay. That was in 5 innings. Just a knuckleball here again by Dickey, and you can see not a lot of movement on that particular knuckleball, but pretty good velocity at 76.
Brock Holt coming off a terrific night last night with an RBI double and a grand slam, 5 RBIs. Also made an excellent stab at third base. So he's doing it all. 6 for 12 to start, but with 2 home runs. He hit 2 all last year. These cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Brock Holt 2 home runs, 12 at bats. Came into the season with 6 career home runs in 1,027 at bats. And the 1-1 will drift away.
Well, the one he hit last night, it tops me now for all-time home runs in the big leagues. I had a total of 7. Now Brock Holt has 8. And I think he's going to go very quickly by me and leave me in the dust. He already has.
A lot of his teammates were saying this morning he's a lot stronger than you think he is. We mentioned it on opening day. He was 84 pounds as a freshman in high school. He's a strong kid in there for strength. He's worked very, very hard at it. Here's the 3-2 from Dickey. Looping liner into right. Bautista closes, slides down again. It's the second time in as many games he's done that. He's having a little trouble, I think, out of that light bank, but he hangs on, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. Middle of the second, 2-0 Toronto. Porcello in the first inning. That's the difference to this point. Quick turnaround for this game after last night, which ended at 11 o'clock. But the Red Sox were delighted with the final result, an 8-7 victory. So Rick Porcello hoping to pull things together here in the second inning. He'll get the bottom third of the order. Goins, Barney, and Tolley. So that's 7, 8, and 9. So Goins to step in as he does. Jack and Brick are joining us from the Garden. The Bruins and the Senators in a huge game today. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. The first question we have for you is about Tuukka and the reason he's not in the pipes today. When did you guys find out he was ill? What a day of days to do that. Yeah, the Bruins on top 1-0. So what's the mood like in the Garden at this moment? Guys, thank you so much. Get us a win. We'll check in with you a little bit later today. Thanks so much. Jack and Brick back at the Garden today. Do or die for the Bees. Count on Goins, 0-2. Hit .250 with 5 home runs last year. One of the few non-home run threats in this lineup. Darwin Barney will be next. Porcello in dire need of a fast inning. We have not seen many from Red Sox starters not named David Price. Up the middle, and he backhands that. And as a sinker ball or ground ball guy, he knows to expect that. 1 man away.
Yeah, the key to that is getting yourself in a proper position to make a play. And that's exactly what Porcello did. That ball coming right back to him. And pretty quickly we saw Koji make a nice play last night on the ball back through the middle. And now Porcello does.
Time for a twisted but true fact. This is really twisted. None of the 7 Canadian teams in the NHL, none of them will make the playoffs this year. It'll be the first hockey postseason without a Canadian team since the merger in 1979. Twisted tea, the hard iced tea that tastes like real iced tea, be a little twisted.
Well, that is
Canada.
That is strange, isn't it?
And obviously a lot of Canadian players playing in the United States on U.S. teams that make the playoffs, but none of the Canadian teams going to postseason play. A shocker. Here's Darwin Barney. Down for it. Sandoval, very smooth, a high throw, and pulled him off the bag. So everything went well until the throw. And that'll have to be an error on Sandoval.
Yeah, it's almost like he was thinking about the throw. You know, he got the backhanded play just fine, but then he tried to set up. You can see Sandoval moving in that direction. Now he's got time to set up, and just as soon as it left his hand, you could see that it was going to be high at first base. The question was, how high was it going to go? And it pulls Shaw off the first base back, so that should go as an error on Sandoval, a throwing error.
It is an E5. That was the biggest knock on Sandoval in spring training as far as what he was doing offensively or defensively. It was about the defense and more about his range than anything else. Here's Josh Tolley, but that throw badly off target.
Now, you know what happens, Dave, and you know, when you get pressure like Sandoval has right now, which has been self-induced, when you finally get a chance to get into the game, you try to be perfect, and you're really not in the flow of anything right now. And you could tell by that throw, setting up, trying to aim the ball to first base, that, you know, it's on his mind. There's no question it's on his mind. It's what Dello was talked about during spring training. One of the big reasons he lost his job at third base was because of defense.
Made 15 errors last year. Tolley, the man who always catches the knuckleballer Dickey, just a .204 hitter a season ago, and he fouls a tip into the mitt. 2 balls and 1 strike. 2-0 Toronto. Kevin Pillar would be next. Porcello's a guy who should get a lot of double play ground balls, though, when he's right. If he's keeping the ball down, like that last pitch right around knee level. Rick's first season in Boston was certainly a challenging one. After signing a 4-year contract extension, he went 9-15 with a .492 ERA.
You're talking about double plays. He induced 21 double plays last season. Action count here, 2-1.
Runner holds, and down on the knee goes Tolley to get out of the way. 3-1. Big problem with Porcello last year wasn't walks. He only walked 38 guys in 172 innings. It was all the hits. Gave up a ton of hits, but here he will fire in a strike. Tolley was about to shuck the bat.
You know, it's unusual when a guy like Porcello gets a high strike call like that, because he's known as a sinker ball pitcher, so the target generally is low for him. This time, this is the top of the strike zone, but he does get the call.
And a delayed call there by the home plate ump Lane. Here's the 3-2. Time asked for before the throw over to first base by Tolley, and it was granted. Porcello did pitch quite a bit better after he was recalled from AAA. His last 8 starts, he had an ERA of 3.14. Runner goes, swung on and missed. He got him. Throw down to second. A tag. He's safe. So as you called it, an action pitch. The strikeout at home plate, but Barney has a theft at second.
Now 3-2. There's no question they got to send the runner right there with a single ball pitcher on the mound and try to stay away from the double play. Porcello does pick up the strikeout, but Swihart, as you can see, makes that throw. It's up to the second base side, and by the time Bogaerts gets back to the tag, it's not going to be in time at second base. Good throw. Maybe they have him.
So Barney in scoring position. The batter will be Pilar, who whiffed in the first inning. Toronto on top on a 2-run homer from Jose Bautista. Pilar 4 for 11 against Porcello lifetime. We mentioned his triple last night and the fact that he got hit on the helmet in a very scary moment from Joe Kelly. Certainly not intentional. Breaking ball outside, but he also bunted in the 8th inning. With the Red Sox on top 8-7 successfully, but you didn't like the play.
I didn't like the play. Not with this lineup. I just don't. I don't think they need to do that. They just got too many weapons. Now there are certain games you're pitching. You got certain pitches out there that I can understand it, but I didn't last night. To me, it was giving the Red Sox an out, and I don't know. When you get that kind of lineup, it just doesn't make sense to me to do that.
It was a successful bunt, but they didn't score in the inning.
They didn't score.
And they wound up losing by a run. Well, their bullpen has been in tatters. First week of the season, Toronto's. The 1-1. Jammed him. And now Porcello in front in the count. Porcello had a terrific game. As you look at that bullpen, it's really been beaten up. Tampa Bay knocked them around. The Red Sox did it last night. Porcello on September 1st last year against the Yankees struck out 13 men in 8 innings. Most by a Red Sox pitcher all season. That tied the Sox record for most strikeouts against the Yankees at Fenway, tying Pedro Martinez. Swing and a miss by Pilar. Down he goes for strike 3. So Porcello gets out of that inning unscathed. Still 2-0 Toronto. Subaru retailers of New England, supplying award-winning all-wheel drive vehicles throughout New England. By Digital Federal Credit Union, see what DCU can save you. And by buyatoyota.com, Toyota's website for deals. Back in the beautiful city of Toronto, Canada, where there will be no playoff hockey. They're all about the Blue Jays right now, having won the division last year. They were incredibly excited about last night. Red Sox kind of tossed a wet blanket on their opening night with a great win coming from behind to stun them. Right now it's 2-0 Toronto. Rusney Castillo getting in here in the 3rd inning. Rusney starting in center today, his first start of the season. Jackie Bradley is off. Line shot, base hit past the diving Tulowitzki. So Rusney off to a nice start today with a solid knock.
Yeah, not a bad day to give Bradley off too. He's 2 for 21 in his career off R.A. Dickey. So they get Castillo in there. What does he do? Pick up a base hit in his first at bat. On ground ball past the shortstop Tulowitzki. And the Red Sox have the leadoff man on here in the third inning. I was asking the players this morning, asked Travis Shaw, Dustin Pedroia about the infield, how it played last night with this new surface. And both guys said the grass part of it, the artificial grass part of it, is very slow, and the dirt was much quicker. When the ball hit the dirt, it would pick up speed. But said all in all, not bad, but they didn't think it was as good as the one down in Tampa Bay.
Now the dirt on the infield brand new this year here in Toronto. Inside on Swihart. Ottawa, incidentally, has just tied the Bruins at the start of the second period 1-1. So they are all even in a giant game for the Bruins back at the Garden, back in Castillo. Look at last year's field here at Rogers Center.
Kind of the normal artificial surface with the dirt just around the bases, but they have changed that now.
2-0 to Swihart is up and away.
And quite frankly, I like it a lot better. I think it looks more like a ballpark now.
It does, yep.
Not as big and just looks more quaint.
You almost want to go down to your tractor and mow it, Jerry.
I let somebody else do that. I'm too old to be out there cutting fake grass.
I'm with you. How about the real thing? Forget about that too.
Oh no way.
It would butcher mine. Lunging back in Castillo. Our house in Marshfield, my dad tried to grow grass in our front lawn for 10 years and nothing came up but dirt. I mean, he must have put $1 million of fertilizer in there. That's inside for ball 4. So the Red Sox have runners at first and second, nobody out, and Mookie Betts about to climb in. Well, the 2016 Red Sox season underway. Be sure to download the Sox schedule directly into your favorite desktop or the web or mobile calendar program. Visit NESN.com/schedule and download today. Well, Mookie's hit a little bit of a skid here. He's 0 for 6 in this series. 0 for 1 tonight after an outstanding opening day in Cleveland. He bunts and fouls it away. Told us in spring training, I'm going to be looking to bunt more.
Yeah, I don't know if he was sacrificing or trying to bunt for a base hit. It almost looked like he was trying to bunt for a base hit on his own there.
3 sacrifice bunts a season ago. We know how hot he can get. He had the Sox 2 longest hitting streaks last year, an 18-gamer and a 13-gamer. There's a throw to the outfield, a step-off toss by Dickey, and a wild throw. Both runners are going to move up. Castillo down to third, and into second base. Swihart, R.A. Dickey with a gift on the pickoff that goes into center.
That's a terrible attempt there by Dickey, as a very awkward pickoff attempt at second base and just throws the ball away. You see, he just steps off to the right of the rubber and fires it sidearm. The second base not even close. So the Red Sox get 2 men into scoring position on that kind of foolish play, I thought, by Dickey.
So Mookie Betts with a golden chance here. He can tie the game right here. As he fouls it away, Dustin Pedroia on deck.
Well, they say when it's high, let it fly, and that was a high knuckleball. It didn't do very much, but Betts fouling it straight back.
Castillo 90 feet away on the error. Swihart at second. Cut on and missed, and Mookie stays cold for the moment. Down he goes. You can't be happy with that at bat. He did not advance a runner on his own. 1 out for Dustin Pedroia.
Now the knuckleball inside that time to Mookie Betts, up and in.
Pedroia 1 for 1 with a base hit. And takes one up top and dropped by Tolley. When Dickey was drafted back in 1996 by Texas, during the team's physical exam, The test showed that he has no ulnar collateral ligament in his right elbow at all. So that joint has no stability at all. In there for a strike. He may have been born without it. He could have torn it and it never regenerated. So originally they gave him $810,000. And then when they looked at the elbow, they reduced his signing bonus to $75,000. They had no faith that he would ever become a big league pitcher. Up and in on Pedroia. It was a bizarre twist. The Rangers trainer Danny Wheat looked at the cover of Baseball America 1996. Dickey and 4 other members of the U.S. Olympic team in their starting rotation were pictured. He called over the team's orthopedic consultant, and they were all bothered by the look of his elbow. The arm didn't hang naturally like everybody else. Swing and a miss, 2-2. And that's when they called him in, took a look, and realized he didn't have that ligament present in his elbow. So he really should not be able to shake hands. He says, I shouldn't be able to hold my baby. I shouldn't be able to do anything.
Yet he's out there throwing knuckleballs for a long, long time.
Won a Cy Young. Quite a bizarre story. 2-2 on Petey. He lets it go and the count goes full.
Very tempting that time with the high knuckleball again. It was pretty flat, but it was that time too far out of the strike zone for Pedroia to swing at. See when they stay upstairs like that, how flat they remain.
2 men ready to score on a base hit. Ground ball to the right side. 1 run in. Goins gobbles it up and gets Pedroia down to third. Swihart, but in to score Castillo. And the Red Sox are on the board. Now 2-1 Toronto. So Pedroia will pick up the RBI by tapping one routinely to second base.
Yeah, just make contact, infield back at this stage of the ball game. Get a run on the board. Get something going offensively. That's exactly what Pedroia does.
Go, Bogey!
Now it's up to Bogaerts to try to get a 2-out base hit to tie this ball game.
Xander struck out his first time today. Swihart at third base with 2 down. And that'll be strike 1. Xander scored the game-winning run in the 7th last night. Started out the season 0 for his first 10 or 11, but then had 3 consecutive hits in last night's game. DraftKings is the official one-day fantasy baseball partner of the Boston Red Sox. Experience the thrill of playing on DraftKings right now. Play free daily using promo code NESSON at DraftKings.com. Line toward right, slicing for the corner, sailing, and a fair ball. It'll bounce up into the stands. The run is in to score. That'll be a ground rule double, and the Red Sox have fought back again to tie at 2-2. They don't stay down very long.
Bogaerts last year 386 with 2 outs and men in scoring position, and he continues that trend here. So he is gunning high. Had a big night last night. Takes this one to the opposite field. That inside-out swing. At first, he wasn't sure it was going to stay in fair territory. Looked like it was going to slice away, but it does land fair and then bounce up into the stands for the ground rule double. So the Red Sox get 2 runs in to tie the ball game.
And now trying to take the lead. Travis Shaw at the plate, 0 for 1 with a strikeout. So Xander needed a couple of games to get that swing in order, but all of a sudden 4 hits in about his last 5 at bats. Slicer foul by Travis Shaw. 2-2 all tied up here in the 3rd inning.
And we talked earlier about approaches, and that approach by Bogaerts was just perfect. Really waiting as long as he possibly could on the knuckleball and driving it to the opposite field.
Xander, a multi-hit game last night, at 57 of those last year. That'll drift away. 2-1 on Travis.
When you look at that catcher's mitt for Tolle, it looks like a first baseman's mitt, doesn't it? The way it's broken in.
Two on off the mitt. Well, it didn't help him there, and down to third is Xander Bogaerts. That one rolls all the way to their dugout, right to the railing. And the Red Sox have the go-ahead man 90 feet from the plate.
Yeah, a lot of movement on this knuckleball away from Tolle. As you can see, it just almost like it hit a wind tunnel and just took off to the left of Tolle. Big gust of wind came through.
Funny, I didn't feel it. You're inside the dome. That's all Toronto's playing. his dome games, and that one is in there for a strike. They started out the season at Tropicana Field. All closed up, of course, and the roof on here. It will be throughout this series. It's 3-2 on Travis Shaw. Line down the left field line, and that one is going to be fair. Down into the corner, and that'll be a double as the run scores. As that one jumped into the stands for an automatic 2 bases, and the Red Sox have the lead 3-2.
Oh, this is beautiful hitting right here, both by Bogaerts and Shaw, both going to the opposite field. You talk about waiting on the knuckleball, and that's exactly what both these guys have done. Bogaerts first to right field. Now Shaw takes one that's outside to left field. That's beautiful hitting right there. Look at the head discipline, right on contact, and then just watches it sail down that left field line. Again the bounce, and again up in the stand. So boy, the errant pickoff attempt at second base really changed the complexion of this inning,
didn't it? Big time. And Ramirez now batting out of the 5 spot, the DH today. That'll be strike 1. Travis Shaw just so comfortable in a major league environment. Well, he was raised in major league clubhouses. His father played for the Indians. Came up with John Farrell. So John Farrell has known Travis since he was a toddler. Punch foul back out of play. Jeff Shaw also played for the Expos, the White Sox, the Reds, the Dodgers. And Jeff says, if I couldn't find Travis in the clubhouse, I always knew where to look. Down in the batting cages, watching guys hit. I think a lot of it rubbed off. And John has known him most of his life. And now he's playing for him. Red Sox have surged into the lead 3-2. This offense has been a lot of fun to watch because it doesn't really matter what the score is. They could care less.
Yeah, and there's also a comfort level by coming inside. Those, you know, they scored runs in Cleveland, but not comfortable to hit in those conditions. Much more comfortable here in Toronto.
2-2 on Hanley.
Of course, that's inside, not outside. It is very cold outside.
It is. And Dustin Pedroia was talking about this today. Well, he was getting ready to get some hitting in. He said, man, it's freezing outside. Really happy this game is being played with the roof shut. They won't open it all weekend. 2-2. He left that one up high at 78. So it's a full count on Hanley. Pablo Sandoval to bat next if given the opportunity. Sox have scored 3 times here in the 3rd. Rusney Castillo got it going, a base hit. Blake Swihart with a walk, and that's when Dickey tossed his pickoff at second base into the outfield. Pop foul out of play off to the right. Bogaerts and Shaw with doubles. MLB.TV Premium is everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out of market game. All 30 teams in true high def on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. David Ortiz out of the lineup today, getting some rest. Off to a hot start. 3-2, a high fly to center, routinely hit. There's Pilar. And that will retire the side. But the Red Sox come roaring back. They get 3 runs. Now on top here at Rogers Center. 3-2. He doesn't know what's going on. Like you're saying, in, out, up, down, no idea. Red Sox just got 3. Red Sox season ticket holders experience the best seats, price, and benefits that Fenway has to offer. For information on becoming a season ticket holder, please visit redsox.com/season tickets or call 877-RED-SOX-9 today. And good seats are available for the summer to come. Summer of David Ortiz and David Price. Rick Porcello hoping to have an active role in that, and all of a sudden he has the lead, facing Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion in the bottom of the 3rd inning. No lead safe against Toronto, that's for sure. Donaldson, the MVP. To this day, he is an avid collector of baseball cards. He says in an off day in New York, he'd rather spend that time hunting through sports shops and memorabilia stores for cards. I hear many major league players say that they collect baseball cards. Donaldson is an avid collector. He's hoping one day to land a 1951 Mickey Mantle card, the rookie card. Shattered bad liner, and that's going to be down the line. He smoked that. Brock Holt to make the stab on the warning track. Donaldson going to test that calf. Here's the throw, not in time, and he's got himself a double. He's 2 for 2 tonight. We're here this afternoon. He's in the scoring position. Time for a game break. Brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Here's TC. Man, oh man, TC. I was going to say thank you, but I don't mean it. Hopefully that'll improve as the day wears on. The tying run suddenly at second base for the Blue Jays, as Bautista cranked a 2-run homer gets in. He's 1 for 1, and he'll take ball 1.
I was watching Donaldson after that double, the way he was running into second base, and he looked absolutely fine going into second base.
Ed Long with a double. Toronto now with 4 hits against Rick Porcello. And he misses outside.
There's Donaldson after contact, and he can sense a double, and no real sign of a limp there. A little bit sluggish going around first base, but then he turns it on with the head first slide, almost collapses into second base.
But he looks a lot better than he did just yesterday.
He does.
Bautista 40 home runs. Look at him hang out over that plate. High deep drive left field. Did he do it again? Back goes Brock Holt. Kiss it goodbye. A 2-run shot for Bautista's second 2-run homer of the day. And Toronto is back in front.
Career home run number 3 off Porcello for Bautista, and I got to tell you, both these home runs almost some identical pitches. Here is the last one, a breaking ball that just spins over the heart of the plate, and Porcello knew it right away.
Boy, did that sit up pretty for him, and he's not going to miss that, Jerry.
No, he's had almost identical pitches in his first 2 at-bats that have been taken out of the ballpark. The reason for the delay right now is a couple of fools ran on the field.
And they're being escorted off by security. They didn't get very far. They got to shallow right field before they were tackled, and we would prefer not to show them. But Toronto has the lead 4-3, and Jose Bautista has been a wrecking crew again. Look at what he's done against Porcello. 13 for 28, 3 home runs and 9 RBIs. 29th time in his career he's had a multi-homer game. So Toronto back in front. These two teams are going to have some slugging parties throughout the summer, aren't they? Here's Encarnacion. He singled his first time, and that's in there for a strike. Encarnacion has yet to hit one out, but 39 last year, and that's high and tight under the chin.
Little two seamer that goes up and in under the chin of Encarnacion. Try to move him off the plate a little bit.
He may become a free agent when the season is over, and he'll have a lot of interest. He's 33 years old. Toronto said re-signing both him and Bautista was a big priority, but they have not been able to do it. They didn't do it in the offseason or through spring training. And Encarnacion told him if it's not done by the end of spring training, we will not speak after that until the season's over, because I don't want the distraction. 2012 he agreed to an extension paying him about $10 million annually. There's a high fly ball, very high down the left field line, but not deep enough. Both coming in under, and that's out number one. Bautista with 2 home run swings today, Jerry.
Yeah, and look at the location of the pitches, almost identical. A breaking ball right there that stayed inside, and once again the same thing out over the plate. I mean, both pitches were supposed to be away from Bautista, both stayed middle in, and both he took out of the ballpark.
25 home runs allowed last season for Rick, and 2 so far today. Here's Tulowitzki. A strike. He lined out sharply to center field his first time up. Hit 280, 17 home runs a season ago. This guy's done some things in his career. Relatively new to the American League, but he's had an excellent career in the National League. Popped up to Shaw, and in short right, that's out number 2. Tulowitzki, a Gold Glove winner a couple of times. So 2 away, and Ezekiel Carrera will step in against Porcello. 4-3 Toronto. Another one that figures to be pretty high scoring. Last night, Red Sox rallying to win 8-7. Despite being down 7-2 very early in the game, and that is low for a ball, and he checked his swing. Carrera, a guy who looks to run if he gets on base. 1-1.
See, that's where Porcello has to operate. The first 2 pitches of this at bat, both have been down in the zone. A fastball, then a changeup by Porcello, and the 1-1 count. But everything has to be down. If it's not, he's in trouble. And he'll try a cross-seamer every now and then, trying to go up high for a strikeout. But basically, when he's at his best, he's getting ground ball outs.
2-1 to Carrera. He takes a wave and a miss, kind of a wild cut. It was something that Rick struggled through all through spring training to do, is get that ball under the knee. Get it down around the hollow of the knee where he has to make his living. If he elevates, he's in huge trouble. He found that out last year. And he's found it out again today against Bautista in particular. 2-2 on the way to Carrera. And he struck him out. Got him looking. Strikes him out for the second time. But Bautista gets Porcello again, and it's 4-3 Toronto. brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Back in Toronto, Bautista wrecking crew today. That's been said before. Two-run homers. And Toronto is back on top here in the top half of the fourth inning. Sandoval to lead it off here against Dickey. He made a big throwing mistake and a pickoff move to second base, leading to a couple of Red Sox runs, and eventually the Red Sox lead in the third inning. Sandoval 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Hard to recall perhaps, but at the outset of 2015 the Red Sox had postseason dreams, and Sandoval's outstanding career performance in October with San Francisco was a big reason why he was signed. Of course, the Red Sox never got there, but in the World Series in 2012 he went 8 for 16 with 3 home runs. He was the World Series MVP. 2014 against Kansas City, he hit .429. He went 12 for 28. Fouls that one at the plate. The NLCS in 2014 against St. Louis, he went 8 for 20, hitting .400. So as you can see, a .344 career postseason average. He's been an outstanding playoff hitter. But you got to get there.
Yeah, and you look at his numbers throughout his career, they're basically about the same. You know, batting average wise, home run, RBIs. But he has taken off in the postseason on a number of occasions.
The 0-2 from Dickey spoils that one. Well, those of us who've been around Pablo Sandoval in the clubhouse find him an immensely likable guy. Very upbeat personality, very friendly. He's always got a smile. Fouls that one off the catcher.
I think the one thing that impressed me about Sandoval last year, and it has nothing to do with ability, is the way he approaches the game. I mean, he plays the game hard all the time, and that's what you can only ask the players to do that for you, and Sandoval does do that. The performance was nowhere near what he expected or the Red Sox expected a year ago.
He won't chase that one. Brock Holt on deck, then Rusney Castillo. Dickey working quickly, the 1-2. In and out of the mitt, and a swing and a miss, and Sandoval will be gunned down at first base. He strikes out. So he whiffs for the second time in this one.
And that ball, knuckleball tailing away from Sandoval. At first he didn't know it got away from the catcher, and by the time he picked it up it was way too late. Although I'm not sure he would have beat it anyway. But there you see the knuckleball just running away and off the heel of the glove, and Sandoval did not know it. Totally gets goes back to get it and has plenty of time to set up and throw to first base.
5 strikeouts for Dickey. Brings up Brock Holt, who's lined to right, 0 for 1. His grand slam last night, he wasn't sure if it was going to be high enough down that line. He knew he had a double anyway, but he was surprised when it got over that fence. A giant hit in the game. Red Sox were down 7-2, and suddenly it was a 1-run game after it cleared the wall, eventually winning 8-7. Brock driving in 5 runs in the win. Fans with Benjamin Moore, you can paint like no other. Go to benjaminmoore.com to find your nearest retailer. Swung on and missed. That one gets by Tolle, and up to first base. Brock Holt without a throw. So it escaped Tolle, and despite the strikeout, Brock Holt is on.
Now that one really got away from the catcher a long way and gave Holt plenty of time to get down to first base. That's a long run when you're a hitter, because you know you've already made it out on a strikeout, but yet you've got to run down to first base, and that time Holt's safe because the ball got way away from the catcher.
It's a long run for the catcher too, because it's a pass ball on him.
It is.
So a strikeout, a pass ball. Here's Rusney Castillo, ripped a single his first time. And Rusney was the base runner at second when Dickey stepped off and then launched a throw into center field in the third inning. That error allowing the runners to move up to second and third, and they would both score. Red Sox would tie it. Now it's 4-3 Toronto on another home run by Joey Bats. The 1-0 from Dickey off the edge.
Even though Dickey throws the knuckleball, it's a little bit tough to run on because he has very quick feet to first base on the pickoff attempts and very quick to home plate.
He's been a real workhorse over the years, hasn't he? 5 years in a row, well over 200 innings. Fly ball pretty well hit toward the alley in right center field. On a run Bautista, on a run Pilar, and it's off the wall. Heading into third, Brock Holt. He'll apply the brakes there as the throw comes to the cutoff, and that's a double. And Rusney Castillo has his second hit today, and the Sox are in business. Second and third, one man out.
Now Castillo showing a lot of power going to the opposite field there, almost a home run, taking it off that fence in right center field. He's done a nice job twice. He's hit the ball very hard. A ground ball back in the third inning. Now there's double. And of course, they got the ball in so quickly they had no option but to hold up Holt at third base.
Brings up an opportunity for Blake Swihart, the 9-hitter. He took ball 4 and scored a run in the third inning. Only one out. Runners at second and third. And off the mid of Tolle, and that knuckleball is really dancing in this inning.
And Tolle's having a tough time back there. A lot more movement on the knuckleball from Dickey here in the top of the fourth.
So the Red Sox catcher drove in 31 runs last year, can pick up a couple more right here. Lets it go downstairs. So the count 2-0. 0 for 5 so far on the season. He turned 24 years old on this road trip. 2 on and one man out. High fly into left field. That's going to be deep enough. Carrera backing up, circling, makes the catch. Brock Holt will tag. Castillo's heading into third base. The throw's offline. He slides in safe. The run is in, and this game is tied. And the Red Sox very aggressive on the bases.
Yeah, I was watching Holt to make sure he got by home plate before that play at third base on Castillo because it looked like it was going to be very close. Castillo's at second base, sees that runner going back. There's no question Holt's going to score, but Castillo, as he backpedals, decides to tag and go to third, and I think caught Carrera by surprise. He gets in safely at third, and Holt does cross the plate.
So that pass ball was a key play. A couple of mistakes they've made. Well, pass ball with a knuckleball is very tough anyway, but those happen all the time.
So are they going to check to see if he left too soon at third base, or are they just going to play on?
They're peeking in the dugout, but it looks like, of course, they could always appeal it. Castillo into third base. Brock Holt tagging up and scoring the tying run. We're locked up 4-4. And here's Mookie Betts. Mookie 0 for 2 today, 0 for 5 last night. He has not had a hit since opening day. 2 for 17. Once again, the Red Sox battling from behind. A ball and a strike on the leadoff man. And again, very good numbers coming into the contest for Mookie. He was 8 for 23, 348 against Dickey. The 1-1. A ball and 2 strikes on Mookie.
That knuckleball had so much movement on it, it actually looked like a curveball. Watch the rotation or lack of on this knuckleball. Look how much it breaks down and away from Betts.
2-2. We had such a great time with Tim Wakefield talking about knuckleballs in the foundation game in spring training. And I asked Wake, could you teach me how to throw a knuckleball? He said, I could teach you how to throw it, not for a strike necessarily, but I could teach Jerry how to throw it for a strike. Which made me feel great. Swung on and missed. That goes all the way to the backstop. A run trying to score, throw to first, and in time to get him. What a wild inning that was for Tolle and for Dickey. Got him at first base in time to complete the strikeout. To MLB.TV Premium. Go to MLB.com/MLB to sign up right now and catch every moment on America's fastest growing LTE network. Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays in a 4-4 tie, bottom of the 4th inning. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien, Garen Austin with you. And Rick Porcello getting some run support today. He'll get the bottom third of the order. It'll be Goins, Barney, and Tolle. Means he gets to stay away from Jose Bautista, at least here in the 4th inning. Bautista's cranked 2 2-run homers off him today. Goins 0 for 1 with a sharp comebacker that Porcello handled in the 2nd inning. Well, how about Baltimore off to the quick start? The Orioles are 4-0.
Yeah, we'll see them on opening day in Boston on Monday. The Orioles.
We'll also see Toronto again very quickly on that same 10-game homestand. That's up top for a ball. Can't wait to get home back to Fenway on Monday.
I think everybody's looking forward to it. A lot of people have been gone for since the beginning of February.
2-0 pitch and a strike. Goins an outstanding defensive second baseman. It's a very good defensive team. They have a Gold Glove candidate in Pilar in center field. That's pumped across for a strike. Bautista still has a great arm in right field.
Yeah, very strong up the middle with Tulowitzki and Goins.
And Russell Martin behind the plate. They have a lot of weapons, particularly in the lineup. 2-2 is cut on and missed, and down he goes, strike 3. So Porcello puts him away. Now we're keeping an eye on the Bruins today and hoping that things are going to get a little bit better. Let's bring in Jack and Brick from the Garden. Gentlemen, what has happened since we spoke to you last? We are sorry to hear that, but do your best to pull them through, gentlemen. We're going with you. We're period by period, so we're keeping in close contact with you. Good luck the rest of the way. Thank you, Jack. High fly into right field, and Betts is going to back up to make the catch. So 2 periods have come and gone there in the Garden. Bruins and the Senators in a make or break for the Bees today, as far as the postseason is concerned. And Josh Tolle will get in here. He's 0 for 1 with a strikeout. And Rick Porcello on the verge of a 1-2-3 inning, and it would be his first, and it would be highly welcomed by his teammates. That's strike 1.
Good time to get Tolle. He might be a little bit tired from chasing all those knuckleballs back to the backstop last inning.
0-1 pitch, and he went with a breaking ball in the first strike. That was the great Bob Uecker line about how do you catch a knuckleballer? Wait for it to stop rolling and go to the backstop, pick it up. That's pretty much what Tolle did last inning. Bounding ball foul. Red Sox fans looking for the best seats to the biggest games. Make sure you check out the official Red Sox ticket resale marketplace. It's RedSoxReplay.com. First place you have to go, and the best place for season ticket holders to sell their tickets when they can't make it to the game. And you get great deals as well. That one slapped foul toward first base.
Steady diet of breaking balls from Porcello to Tolle in this at bat. Pretty good curveball last time, kept it down in the zone. Needs to shut him down and give his chance, a team to take the lead in the ballgame.
Tied up 4-4. Bottom of the 4th inning, and the 0-2 too high.
By design that time, no balls, 2 strikes. You see Swihart put down the sign. He wanted the fastball up out of the strike zone and see if Tolle would chase it. Now back to a 2-seamer inside.
1-2, and he struck him out. He got him looking. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Rick Porcello. Maybe starting to settle in. He gets him in order. We are tied up after 4. Red Sox moment honoring the 1986 Red Sox season, and in their 4th game of the 86 campaign, the Red Sox beat the White Sox 7-2. Roger Clemens went 8 2/3. He allowed only 1 earned run, and he got the win for the Red Sox. Wade Boggs 2 for 4 with a double.
Strange to see Clemens with 5 walks in that game, only 2 strikeouts, but 8 2/3 for Roger to run his record to 1-0 in 86.
And to the top half of the 5th inning here at Rogers Center. Jerry Remy, Dave O'Brien alongside. Dustin Pedroia will lead things off here against Dickey. Pedroia with a single and an RBI ground out today, so he has contributed. He'll be followed by Bogaerts and then Shaw, as the Sox trying to take the lead here. Toward right center, that'll find a home down for a base hit. If he hit here every day, he might win the batting crown every year.
Yeah, he loves hitting here at the Rogers Center. 2nd hit of the day for him. He does have an RBI and a ground ball to second base. Red Sox trying to tack on some more here in the 5th inning. Keep this momentum going. They've scored in 2 straight innings.
Pedroia with a 16-game hitting streak against Toronto brings up Xander Bogaerts, 1 for 2 with an RBI double. He is catching fire all of a sudden, and that one inside, ball 1. Xander with 3 hits last night. The Red Sox with a tenacious victory to go to 2-1 on the season. We've talked for many weeks through spring training and now the early part, first week of the season, about the necessity to get off to a good start for this Red Sox team. Absolute necessity. 2-0 to count.
That really had been the focus, hadn't it, all spring training long. Everything that was talked about was about getting off to a good start, not get buried in the standings early and have to play from behind.
The pitch down into the dirt and stopped by Tolley.
And as we highlighted, Dave, many times, I mean, the schedule is not an easy schedule for the Red Sox early. A lot of tough teams they're going to have to play in the month of April.
Red Sox facing this Toronto team 7 times over a 10-game span. But Baltimore opens up with the Red Sox at Fenway on Monday the 11th, and they're off to a 4-0 start. The Orioles offense very, very good. This ball 4 to Xander. First and second, nobody out. An excellent start to this inning in front of Travis Shaw. As we glance at the schedule, and don't forget the Houston Astros. Terrific ball club. Red Sox have to go to Houston and then come back to face Atlanta and the Yankees at the end of the month. It's a very, very tough schedule early on. And facing the reigning division champs here in Toronto for 3 games over this weekend, and it's outside, and all of a sudden for Dickey it's not dancing into the strike zone.
He's only had one 1-2-3 inning in this game, that being the 2nd inning.
That'll be a strike. Bit of a generous call there on Travis Shaw.
Shaw with the look of disbelief as that ball is called a strike.
Arnold Leon now throwing in their bullpen, so they have activity for the first time. Knuckleball across for a called strike.
I think that's one Shaw would love to have back one more time. That was in a beautiful spot to hit.
Dickey's 1-2 missed badly. Travis has a big supporter in David Ortiz, who really has believed in Shaw since he came up last year. Got jammed there, but he knocked it foul. 2-2. Travis very aware of how big that is to have Big Papi in his corner. Dickey with a 2-2 pitch and swung on and missed. Down he goes, strike 3. So Travis fanning for the 2nd time around his double, and there's one away.
Now, there was a pitch earlier in that bat that was very hittable, but Shaw took it. It was a knuckleball right down the middle of the plate. Didn't do a whole lot, and this last one that he throws to Shaw really does dip and dips down out of the strike zone. So the first out of the inning coming by the strikeout for Dickey. You see the late movement on that knuckleball right there.
He has struck out 8. Last inning he struck out 3, and a couple of those went to the backstop. Here's Hanley Ramirez. He's popped the second and fly to center field. We're tied up 4-4 in the 5th inning, and the Red Sox have 2 men on. Pedroia at second, Bogarts at first. Little looper into right field. That'll drop for a base hit. Pedroia went halfway, and now it eats up Bautista. It's going to roll all the way to the warning track. 2 runs will score. Pedroia's in. Bogarts is in. Hanley Ramirez to third. He slides in safe. The Red Sox lead it 6-4. And Bautista butchered that in right field.
I think that's probably got to go as a triple for Hanley, because I don't know what this ball hit, but it bounced directly over the head of Bautista out there in right field. I don't know if it got a seam, but it was a crazy bounce. Now, Pedroia was originally kind of holding up at second base because he thought Bautista was going to catch this, but watch this bounce. Looked like he had it lined up, and it just goes right over his head. You know, the Red Sox infield is telling me about this bouncy surface, and boy, there was a great example right there.
The infield is in for Pablo Sandoval, and that's off the mid of Tolley. Ramirez charging home, and there's another run in. The Red Sox lead it 7-4. Well, this inning, this game just coming apart on Toronto.
A very strange inning, and you know, isn't it the case a lot of times with knuckleball pitches, you have just strange results, strange games. Tolley has been all over, chasing the ball back to the backstop this afternoon, and there was another occasion there where the Red Sox get a run.
They will rule it, by the way, a triple.
Yeah,
for Hanley Ramirez, so he picks up 2 RBIs there.
Yeah, I don't know how they could rule anything else other than that, because it looked like Bautista had it lined up for the bounce and it just went over his head.
The Red Sox on top 7-4. What a turn of events here in the 5th inning. 1-1 pitch, a big swing and a miss by Pablo, who has already struck out twice today. Some crazy bounces, including off catcher's mitts, to benefit the Red Sox. Swing and a miss, and Sandoval fans for the 3rd time. That's 9 strikeouts. What a bizarre game for Dickey. And he's allowed 7 runs. Not the first time we've seen that kind of a pitching line when it's a knuckleball guy.
You just don't know what to expect. I mean, you can go out there and throw 3 strikeouts in a row and have 3 of them get by the catcher, and all of a sudden you get the bases loaded.
Brock Holt now dancing back out of the way. What a crazy bounce over the head of Bautista.
mean, I'd have to say, I can't tell from this distance to where Bautista is that ball had to hit a seam or something, because that was not anywhere close to being a normal bounce.
He just had to turn around and go chase it. Ground ball, base hit inside third. Should be extra bases. Carrera gives chase down the line into second base. Brock Holt, he remains scalding hot. Another extra base hit for Brock. And the Red Sox have a man down to second with 2 down. And the batter will be Rusney Castillo, who's 2 for 2.
We've seen the Red Sox do this a lot today. Stay back on the ball and hit it to the opposite field. We saw Bogarts do it. We've seen Shaw do it. Now we see Holt do it. Go right down that third base line to get in scoring position with the 2-base hit.
A little bit surprised that John Gibbons is leaving Dickey in to face Castillo. He's 2 for 2 off this guy. Bullpen is ready, but he's sticking with him right now. And what has already been a long inning for his starter. Rusney with a base hit in the third and a double in the fourth inning. 0-2 the count. There are 2 out. Holt at second base. 3 runs in, 7-4 Boston. And that'll drift inside on Rusney.
Dave, I'd have to say managing a knuckleball pitch is probably one of the most difficult things to do, because he can turn it around at any time. Things have not gone well for him in this game.
He is at 100 pitches. Ground ball chopped to Tulowitzki. Off balance throw in time, and that will retire the side. Another bizarre inning in the Red Sox favor. They get 3 and now on top 7-4. Ticket.
And you see the 7 strikeouts, no walks for Porcello when he's got hurt. It's because pitches have been up in the zone. But I'm a little surprised to see the 7 strikeouts up there for Porcello.
Here's Pilar. He has struck out twice in this one. Toronto leadoff man to be followed by Donaldson, who's 2 for 2, and Bautista, who's 2 for 2 with 2 home runs. So the next 2 guys have been the trouble spot for Rick today in a big way. Cut and a miss by Pilar.
Good location there. Was a changeup at 81 miles an hour that time for Porcello, and again down and almost out of the strike zone.
Line toward the alley, closing on a Castillo. He'll make the catch to his right. He got an excellent jump. 1 away. Don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings live right after the game. TC, Jim Rice, Steve Lyons break down the game. You'll hear from Rick Porcello and John Farrell. Whatever, whenever, wherever. Who but W.B. Mason?
Well, that boy left the bat. I thought it was going to be a gapper, but Castillo, as you mentioned, OB, I mean, really got a terrific jump on that line drive and made it look very, very easy.
In for Jackie Bradley today is Donaldson. He has singled and doubled. Bautista in the on-deck area. So he's been on each time that Bautista has found the seats. Fly ball to left center field, but a pretty routine play for Castillo, and that's out number 2. And suddenly 8 in a row retired by Porcello.
Yeah, he got himself together after the last home run by Bautista. Since that time has not allowed a hit, but here comes Bautista again. Both home runs, both on pitches in the very similar locations. Middle of the plate in. That was the first one, and almost done at the same pitch.
He tried to hold up. Looked like he went, but first base umpire says no. Hunter Wendelstedt, whose father was a longtime major league umpire. Encarnacion would hit next. Here's the 1-0. And he ran it in. Bautista says for the longest time he was told by hitting instructors he was late swinging the bat. It was the early part of his career. He hit some home runs, but not a ton. And then in 2009, he was sitting around a Toronto clubhouse. Vernon Wells said to him, you know what you should do? Think about starting your swing as early as you can possibly imagine. So early it seems ridiculous. And then start even earlier than that. He said, what do you have to lose? It's only one game. If you look like a fool, it's only one game. So Bautista said that's exactly what I'm going to do. He did it against Scott Baker, second inning, Minnesota Twins. He started his swing even before Baker released the ball. And he was thinking to himself, you want early? I'll show you early. And he smashed one off the left field fence. Went for a double. He said it was the hardest ball I had ever hit. And it changed my life. At that moment, I realized I was going to get up on that plate and I was going to start swinging as fast as I could. Down into the dirt for ball 4. He has Vernon Wells to thank for that. Get expert emergency care without leaving the ballpark at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, the first aid station. That's located behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. Visit bidmc.org.
Well, you think about that, and you know, swinging early in the swinging early, obviously, when the pitcher is even winding up. I mean, you got to have your sights set on something really quite different there. It's amazing you didn't swing and miss when the ball just was released from the pitcher's hand.
Right. Encarnacion with a bounding ball to third. Sandoval. Let's see if the throw's on target. Well, that one is, and that will retire the side. So Porcello pitches around the ball 4. He wanted nothing to do with Bautista there. 7-4 Red Sox. Go behind the scenes with the team during the final stretch of the regular season. It's a can't miss episode of Behind the Beam Monday at 7:30. Although things looking pretty dark for the Bees right now. In the third period, they trail Ottawa by a score of 4-1 after that flurry of goals. Here the Red Sox with a 7-4 lead.
And you want to be a catcher to try to catch the knuckleball? Well, a long day, long tough day for Josh Thole behind the plate. One ball after another getting by him and going back to the backstop. And what a helpless feeling. And he's doing things right. I mean, he's being as quiet as possible back there, letting the ball come to him, but many going back to the backstop today.
He was the happiest guy in the ballpark when they said, here's your catcher's mitt, Josh. You can use this now because Dickey is no longer in the game. Arnold Leon, the right-hander, comes on and he delivers a strike to Blake Swihart. Leon from Mexico, 6'1", about 210 pounds, with Oakland last year, a 4.39 ERA in 19 appearances. Their bullpen has been battered. Tampa Bay knocked them around, and the Red Sox did it last night, coming from behind to win 8-7, now on top 7-4. Swihart with a walk and a run. He's also driven in a run with a sacrifice. Mookie Betts on deck, and then Dustin Pedroia. Red Sox getting 7 runs to this point without Big Papi. David Ortiz out of the lineup resting. David, 2 doubles, 2 home runs in his first 3 games. And that'll miss down and in. So an off day for the big fella, at least to this point. His swan song. 2-2 hammer to first base behind the bag. Encarnacion gathers. 1 man out. The 2016 CVS Health Charity Classic features more than the nation's top golfers. Don't miss the Charity Classic benefit concert featuring Grammy award-winning Lady Antebellum at the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence on the 28th of June. Get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Charity Classic Fenway. Mookie Betts scuffling all of a sudden. He's 0 for 3 in this one. He was 0 for 5 last night. So trying to find it again after an outstanding opening day, in which he blasted a home run in support of David Price. David Price will be pitching in the Red Sox home opener next at Fenway Park against Baltimore on Monday.
And the good news for the Red Sox, even though Mookie Betts right now is struggling at the plate, Red Sox still able to score a lot of runs. That's a great sign.
And it's early, but it doesn't seem like this Red Sox offense is reliant, Jerry, on just 1 or 2 guys. No, very encouraging.
They have a bunch of guys right now that are swinging the bat pretty well, especially for only their 4th game of the season.
Dustin Pedroia on deck. Petey's really getting it going. Breaking ball into the dirt. Xander had a terrific year last year. So did Mookie Betts, both at the age of 22. Mookie now 23, and so is Xander, only born about a week apart. Punch foul, out of play. Mookie receiving a rare honor this year. The popular baseball video game RBI Baseball had him on the cover. And he's pictured making a spectacular diving catch, very superhero-ish. Game released this spring. Here's the 2-2. Up the middle, would it get through? And it will for a base hit. Goins made a diving effort, but came up empty. And Betts is on with a sharp single with 1 man out. Hey, tomorrow after Red Sox coverage, don't miss the Ultimate Red Sox Show presented by AAA. A complete recap of opening week of the 2016 Red Sox season. You and I visited the offices at AAA over the winter.
That's correct, down in Providence.
Had a great time.
Mistaken.
Those folks are outstanding. We went right into the Nerve Center, you know, where they send everybody. It was a lot of fun. Very, very entertaining for us. Jerry had the jumper cables out there in the back, showing them how to do that.
I was on call, ready to go. Let's see if Betts here at first base tries to get himself a decent lead and good jump and maybe take a bag at second base. He does not have a steal yet on the season.
21 last year.
It's one of the bigger leads in the American League. You're very, very comfortable out with a very large lead.
Dustin Pedroia looking for his third hit today. He's 2 for 3, 2 singles, a run, and an RBI. A strike. Dustin hitting .291 last season. Xander Bogaerts on deck. All about health with Petey. He's played through a lot of injuries in his career. Would like to avoid that. The 0-2 on the way. A ball and 2 strikes.
It's almost like a pitch out there on an 0-2 count, a fastball away, trying to get Pedroia to chase, but also had Betts been running, it would have been very much like a pitch out. Maybe going here 1-2. We'll see.
Almost thrown away there by Leon. That had Encarnacion stretching for it.
Some of the thinking here on a 1-2 count, if you're a base runner, is that he's going to try to throw that nasty pitch to get the out, and if it doesn't become a strike, then you got a good chance of stealing the base.
He dives back again. Game 2 of a 3-game series. Tomorrow's also at 1 o'clock. Stephen Wright against right-hander Marco Estrada. And then the Red Sox will be home on Monday for 10 games at Fenway Park. 1-2 runner holding. That missed again.
And again, like another pitch out, once again a fastball. The third and fourth pitch of this at bat have been fastballs away from Pedroia. Trying to get Dustin to chase that outside fastball, but they're not even tempting for Pedroia.
Sox ahead 7-4 in the 6th. Runner holding again and a bounding foul. So Pedroia hangs in. Another big crowd here at Rogers Center. They were quite festive here last night as they presented Donaldson with his MVP, and they unveiled a championship banner out there in center field. They are very excited about their Blue Jays this coming spring and summer. Line drive to right field. That's going to settle down and bounce into the corner. There goes Betts. He's in at third. Butterfield's going to wave him home. Here's the throw to the plate. They won't get him. Into second base, Dustin Pedroia, and the Red Sox lead it 8-4. Now Petey with a 3-hit game and counting.
And what a nice at bat by Pedroia. You know, takes a couple of pitches away from him, runs that count to 2-2, and then goes to the opposite field. They still try to stay away from Pedroia, but that time he doesn't try to pull it. He goes with it. And once it gets down to 328, you know Betts is going to score from first base with his speed. See Bogaerts there doing his job. On deck batter, come up, tell that runner at third base whether he can stand up or has to slide.
His first 3-hit game of this season. That brings up Xander. Still only one man out. Bogaerts looking for a multi-hit game, which would be his second in a row. He doubled in the 3rd inning. And takes a fastball in there for a strike. So Red Sox continue to score 6 runs opening day, 6 runs the next time against Cleveland, 8 last night, and 8 more here this afternoon. Plenty of offense for John Farrell in the early going. And Xander really helped him there. That missed badly. And a count 0-2. Now, last night, the Red Sox rallied from 5 runs down. They didn't do that one time all of last year from 5 runs down. 4 runs, different story, but not once from that kind of deficit. The looper foul back out of play.
Now 2 strikes now on Bogaerts, and that outfield really shifted around toward right field and a little bit more shallow than it normally would be with 2, unless there were 2 strikes on him. expecting him to have a very defensive swing down in the count 0-2. Something the base runner has to take notice of, that they have moved in a little bit.
Sox looking for a 5-run lead here in Toronto. Well outside. That one he would not go after. Boston scoring plenty for Rick Porcello, who has really settled down the last few innings. Just needs to stay away from Jose Bautista. There are a lot of pitchers in the American League who believe that's a good idea.
Well, he's giving you the reason why today.
Leon's 1-2, popped him up, fouled off first, Encarnacion hitting for the stands, but it's out of play. How about last night, for the second time already, and we're a week into the season, a game was decided by the Chase Utley rule at second base, a game between Milwaukee and Houston.
It's a ridiculous rule. I hate it more and more every single day. Every time there's a game decided by it, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Play at second base, Colby Rasmus sliding a little bit late into the bag, but it looked like he went past second base, and they ruled interference. It was not a bona fide slide. That's the new rule, and it turns out 2 outs on that play. Swung on and missed by Xander. Not happy with that at bat.
He did not look good at all on breaking pitches in that particular at bat. A number of curveballs thrown by Leon to Bogaerts, and he seemed to struggle with just about every one of them.
So 2 down, and Travis Shaw will step in.
There's the breaking ball again. Never really was in the strike zone, but Bogaerts chases it. Knew he had made a bad choice immediately.
Yeah, gave himself a knock on the helmet. Travis has already doubled in a run. He's also struck out twice, and he cuts and misses for strike 1. Yeah, that rule has baseball really stirred up, and by baseball I mean ball players. Haven't talked to a single ball player, major leaguer, who likes the rule. And even Craig Counsell, the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, who benefited from that last night, he got the win. He said, "I'll take it. I guess we all have to learn the rule. We all have to understand what is a bona fide slide."
Well, you know, it's taken away a part of the game that has been a major part of the game, and that's intimidation around the bag. Completely out of it. I mean, you can't do anything now. You can't, you know, I mean, you got to slide directly into the bag. It's almost like no point in running to second base.
They're right. High fly center field. It'll hang up though for Pilar, and makes the grab to retire the side. But the Red Sox get another runner and an RBI double from Dustin Pedroia. They have doubled up Toronto 8-4. Perks loyalty program. It's how Dunkin' Donuts shows big time appreciation to loyal fans with great offers and perks like a free beverage when you join and another on your birthday. Enroll today at ddperks.com or on the Dunkin' Donuts mobile app. The Red Sox run on Dunkin'. Now Porcello with an 8-4 lead as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, and he will get Tulowitzki, Carrera, and Goins as the scheduled hitters. And he is not allowed a hit since the second of the 2-run homers he's given up to Bautista in the 3rd inning. So pitching better as the game wears on. Tulowitzki will eyeball a strike.
And it's not so much, Dave, in my opinion, that he's been down more in the strike zone. He's made more quality pitches on the corners, I think.
Little flare to center field. Here comes Castillo, and that one's going to drop in for a base hit. Tulowitzki had just enough on that one to drop down the single. He's 1 for 3. Check out an all-new Red Sox report Tuesday at 5. You'll hear from Bobby Doerr, the 98-year Hall of Famer, who shares his life story and talks about the most memorable moments of his career. That and more on the Red Sox report Tuesday at 5 on NESN. Bobby turning 98 on Thursday, April 7th. Ezequiel Carrera has struck out twice. Ball 1. Red Sox have played well here over the years. A record of 118-96 at Rogers Center. Wave and a miss.
Back-to-back changeups to Carrera. Sometimes these type of hitters are vulnerable to changeups. You know, a lot of people say, well, just throw fastballs at guys that don't hit home runs. That's really not the case.
Porcello's 1-1 will not be made. Time called. Called by the umpire. Hitter can ask for it, but that does not mean the umpire has to grant it. He bunts but fouls it away at the plate. And did so still in the box, says Jerry Lane. He's a good bunter. He can bunt for a hit. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final, presented by Plainridge Park Casino. TC, Jim Rice, Steve Lyons. Preview Stephen Wright's start tomorrow against the Blue Jays. And highlights from around the American League East as well. Baltimore undefeated at 4-0. Red Sox at the moment 2-1. And we'll wrap up the series in Toronto tomorrow. 2-2 on Carrera. Goins on deck. Bottom of the 6th inning here. Little flare foul out of play. The Red Sox are getting some bullpen activity now. The left-hander Robbie Ross Jr. getting going. So we'll see if 6 innings is all for Rick today. He's at 97 pitches. Wrap foul past first.
Yeah, I would have to say that if he does get through the 6th inning, that will be it for him in this ball game today. Red Sox will go to the bullpen either here in the 6th or 7th.
Well, the bullpen was off the charts good last night after Kelly gave up the grand slam, and the Red Sox were down 7-2 from that point on. That was in the 3rd inning. Toronto had 2 hits. Broken bat roll to first. Shaw throws to second, 1, and that's all they'll get.
I like what Shaw did right there. You know, the way the ball's hit, you know you're not going to have a chance to get a double play. So slow yourself down. Make sure you make a good throw to second and get that lead runner, get the force out. And that's exactly what Shaw did there. There was no chance at all, and he knew from contact they were going to get a double play.
Looks awfully darn comfortable at either corner, doesn't he?
He really does. You know, he's a good athlete. Big kid.
Made a really nice barehanded play last night over at third base. And an off-balance throw to first. Well, that'll bring up Goins, who has grounded to the pitcher and struck out. One away. Red Sox ahead 8-4 here in Toronto, trying to win the first 2 games of the series against the reigning division champions. Another late time granted by Jerry Lane.
You mentioned the defense. That's one thing that might have went a little bit overlooked last night in that game. Was a very good defensive game by the Red Sox.
Yeah, great point. There was some outstanding plays made all over the diamond. Carrera was leaning on that toss to first base, so may have given it away there. He's a speed threat. 45 stolen bases last year. And he's running. Ground ball right side. Pedroia dives to the hole. He has it from a knee. Got him! Hey, on the topic of defense, Dustin Pedroia with a Gold Glove stab there. Down to second is Carrera.
Yeah, right on cue. Dustin Pedroia makes a great defensive play, and you know he's much better diving to his left than he is his right. It's the natural side for a second baseman because he's diving to the glove side. And of course, when you get up, you don't have as far a throw to make. Beautiful play by Pedroia right there to get the second out of the inning.
Feeling the effects of slamming on that dirt. It's a little different here in Toronto than landing on the artificial surface now that they have dirt on the infield. They got it done. That brings up Darwin Barney, who's gone 0 for 2. That one really ran in on him. Runner at second base for the Blue Jays. 8-4 Boston. Barney, an outstanding defensive player in his own right. He won a Gold Glove while with the Chicago White Sox, or Chicago Cubs, a few years ago. And the 0-1 pitch. Downstairs for a ball. Now, Toronto struck first in this one. They had 2 runs in the first inning and a home run by Bautista. These Red Sox keep coming back. They got 3 runs in the 3rd inning to take the lead. Then Toronto went in front on another home run 4-3, the second by Bautista. But it's been all Red Sox since. Sox with another run in the 4th inning, 3 in the 5th, and another here in the 6th. They have 10 hits to Toronto's 6. The 2-1. Hard hit behind third. Diving stab. Sandoval from a knee. Can he get it there? No. Shot came off the bag. Carrera did not take the turn. He stays at third base. But a fine stab there by the Panda.
That one thing he did do is save a run. That ball gets by him. You got another run coming in for the Blue Jays. He tried to make a throw that was going to bounce on the artificial surface to first base, but it was offline. You see many infielders try that when they're in a position where they can't make a strong throw. You'll see Sandoval from his knees try to bounce it on the artificial surface, see if he gets a little carry on it. But it's going to be off the target at first base. But by making that play, he does save a run.
So they're safe on the corners, but with 2 down for Josh Thole, the light hitting catcher. Porcello has struck him out 2 times. John Farrell clearly wants to get him through this inning. Bounding ball picked off by Shaw, sliding stop, underhand toss, and got him. Well, the Red Sox, particularly on the right and left sides of that diamond, outstanding defensively in that inning. Vote on what you want Jerry to talk about on NESN Sports Today after the game. Text your answer to 536-536. One message per vote. Castillo's season debut and Rusney's played well. Pedroia's big day or Porcello's start are the topics. Visit NESN.com/terms for terms and conditions and the privacy policy. Well, Rick Porcello looks like he's finished. But 6 innings today. He got better, Jerry, as the day went on.
Yeah, he certainly did. Really, the only problem he had today was with Jose Bautista. A couple of bad pitches to him that he paid for deeply, you know, with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs to Bautista. But other than that, and you know, it was a unique outing for me because it wasn't like he was down in the zone the whole day. He was not. He was, you know, a little bit inside, outside, up and down. So a little bit of a mixture for Porcello in this game today.
And Ramirez socks a foul on the day, a triple. He's also flied out and popped up. Dustin Pedroia getting a lot of support. PD 3 for 4. He's driven in 2 runs. He scored a run. He's made a dynamite defensive stop. I'm dying to know what Jerry's going to talk about.
So am I.
To the shortstop. Tulowitzki to his right. And there's a very strong arm for out number 1.
Yeah, we've seen him today make a couple of plays going to his right where he made a sidearm throw to first base. That time, because he was so deep, had to go over the top in a very, very accurate, strong throw to first base for the out.
Red Sox have Koji up. He worked last night's game, and like every other relief pitcher, he was outstanding. Craig Kimbrell locked it up for his first save with the Red Sox. He hit 99 last night. Here's the Panda looking for his first hit. He's 0 for 3. Pablo Sandoval can actually throw about equally well with his right and his left hand. Ambidextrous. He's a natural left-hander, but he taught himself to throw right-handed when he was 8 years old because he wanted to be a catcher, which he has done as a major leaguer. He's been a catcher. His idol growing up was his countryman Omar Vizquel. Brock Holt on deck. Red Sox in the lead 8-4 in the 7th inning of Game 2 after winning last night here in Toronto. 2-2 on Sandoval.
Is that pressure you feel when you get a start if you're Sandoval? You know, you're not starting on opening day. You haven't played. You've had 1 at bat. You feel like you've got to do it every time you get a chance in the lineup, and so far today it hasn't happened.
Just outside.
Everything away from Sandoval in this at bat.
Red Sox got to R.A. Dickey, the starter, for 7 runs over 5 innings. It was a time he dazzled the Red Sox. That's down low for ball 4. A rare walk accepted by Pablo. So he's on with 1 out in the 7th as Leon puts him on. Hey, tomorrow morning at 11:30 on the season premiere of NESN Clubhouse, we make a Hanley Ramirez bat from start to finish. Craig Kimbrell will be showing D'Angelo Ortiz how to spit sunflower seeds, and David Price talks about his dog Astro. NESN Clubhouse presented by Delta Dental of Massachusetts. Brock Holt 1 for 3 with a double today. Just keeps on hitting. Last night a grand slam and a run scoring double. 7 for 15 to start. Red Sox all-star last year, and he'll look at a strike. Rick Porcello with a 4-run lead. The bullpen will take over from here. Swung on and missed. A pitch down into the dirt. Runner at first base, so that'll complete the strikeout. Second time today Brock has whiffed.
Yeah, a couple of fastballs followed by the curveball that time by Leon to pick up the strikeout against Holt.
And so 2 down. Been a good day for Rusney Castillo with a single and a double. He has also played a very solid center field.
He's had a nice day.
2 runs scored. I think when R.A. Dickey looks back at this performance, he's going to think about that pickoff attempt in the 3rd inning with Castillo aboard along with Blake Swihart as a turning point for him, because he threw it into the outfield. There's a forced play at second to retire the side. That's it for the Red Sox. They will stretch here in Toronto. Koji will enter the fray. It is 8-4 Boston. West Airlines, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. Dave O'Brien and Jerry Remy with you. And our game summary brought to you by Xfinity. Porcello goes 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs. Dustin Pedroia 3 for 4 today with 2 RBIs. Hanley has a triple, bouncing over the head of Batista. Dickey lasted 5. The Red Sox had some very good swings against him, although he did strike out 9. Jose Bautista has been their offense with 2 2-run homers, but has not received a whole lot of help otherwise. And the Red Sox lead it 8-4 as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. And Koji is on his 3rd appearance of the season. So far 2 innings. He's allowed no hits and he's walked 1. Difficult to envision Koji as a starter given his place in Red Sox bullpen history, but he has made 12 major league starts, and in Japan when he was a young pitcher he was a superb starter. That's in there for a strike on Pilar. He won 20 games one year for the Yomiuri Giants. 1999 he won 112 games mainly as a starter in Japan before he came to Baltimore in the big leagues in 09. Big leagues here in the U.S.
That looked to be a little bit of a cut fastball by Uehara. I don't see that very often. The ball had some movement going away from Pilar. Not the split type of movement.
Pilar 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a liner to center against Rick Porcello. Punch to Sandoval, an easy stab for the Panda. 1 up and 1 down in the 7th. Ace Ticket, Boston's trusted source for Red Sox tickets, has the best seats at the lowest prices to all the games at Fenway, and all with a 200% guarantee. Treat yourself or somebody you love by visiting aceticket.com or by calling 1-800-MY-SEATS. Biagini throwing again in the bullpen. We saw him last night hit about 95 on the gun. He throws hard. Donaldson looking at a pitch low. A single, a double, a fly out. He's gone 2 for 3.
It's interesting seeing Uehara, and at this stage of the game, the 7th, they probably want him facing guys like Donaldson and Bautista as opposed to Tazawa.
We really got to believe last night such a great leap forward for Junichi to pitch effectively against Toronto, a team that's been his nemesis. We all thought, well, they're in his head. Sky high ERA, always seemed to come apart against him. But last night, very efficient, cool, calm, and collected. Got him 1-2-3. 3-0, pounded in for a strike. Donaldson taking all the way. Bautista is on deck. You always have to think about this Toronto offense. They are never very far from getting right back in the thing. High pop up, sky high, right around the netting. Here comes Swihart, and backing up, and he can't get it. Boy, that was up there the longest time, and he could not adjust in time.
You could see Swihart trying to line that thing up because it was hit so high, and he just overran the baseball.
I think it bounced and hit him in the head.
He sees it. Maybe he didn't see it right away. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe he had no idea originally where the location of that was, and then by the time he adjusted to it, it was too late. He overran it and then took it off the side of the face.
Another swing for Donaldson, and he cuts and misses. Down he goes. Koji gets him despite the extra swing.
And despite the fastball only being at 87, and Donaldson was very late on it. Almost like he was not expecting a fastball from Koji.
How many times did we see that, particularly in 2013? The baseball just disappeared, and on a really good hitter, and he looks totally befuddled. Like, what happened to that? Here's Bautista, 2 home runs today. He's also taken ball 4. Red Sox ahead 8-4. 3 for 12 with a couple of solo home runs against Koji. Bautista driving in 114 runs last year. One of 3 consecutive hitters in their lineup, Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion, who all drove in over 110 runs. A little bit low, 2-1. We are in the 7th in Toronto. Red Sox trying to make it 2 straight against the Blue Jays to start this series. Check swing and a strike.
There's the split finger right there, and that one surprised Bautista because he's thinking he might get that 87 fastball.
He sets up away. A high fly ball. That one driven into left field, but it will not carry. Brock Holt says he has it and makes the catch to retire the side. They go 1-2-3. We are on to the 8th inning. Red Sox up by 4.
Well, we'll take a look at the recap for the Red Sox. Back in the 4th inning, a swing and miss by Holt, but he gets down to first base, and Swihart going to the opposite field for a sacrifice fly that advances, scores a run, and advances a man to third base. We go to the 5th inning. Hanley going to the opposite field, and watch this bounce. Right over the head of Bautista, all the way to the wall. 2 runs come across the score. Sandoval at the plate. Another ball that Tolley has to go back and chase. Ramirez coming in to score. And Dustin Pedroia going to the opposite field. Beautiful swing by Pedroia. Run the score here to 8-4 as we go to the 8th inning.
Now the bane of the knuckleball. One of the great thrills of the 2013 Red Sox was the reaction to Koji when he came off the mound, and his reaction to his teammates. Always with a giant smile on his face, and his teammates just adore him. On to the 8th. Joe Biagini comes out of the bullpen, hard-throwing right-hander from Redwood City, California. And the Red Sox with a 4-run cushion. Blake Swihart will lead it off, and that's going to find a home in right field as he drives a single to his first hit. Speedway proud to be New England's first choice for value and convenience, and for every Red Sox home run this season, Speedway donates $500 to Boston Children's Hospital. Stop by a Speedway store near you, pick up your Speedway rewards card, and start earning points today. His numbers from last night: 1 inning, 1 strikeout, good velocity. Here's Mookie Betts, who is 0 for 3 before singling and scoring a run in the 6th inning. They will announce another gigantic crowd here at Rogers Center today. They have not had hockey to cheer for. Not a single Canadian NHL team will make the playoffs. So it's all about baseball right now here in Toronto. And I know they have an outstanding team that has a chance to win.
And it's all about log jams trying to get out of this place after the game. We were stuck in traffic last night for a long time. There was a huge crowd here, and they were really jammed up around the ballpark.
Sure was. They weren't that happy either after the Red Sox came from behind to shock them. And now the Sox closing in on winning 2 straight. A ways to go yet, but leading 8-4. And we are in the 8th inning. John Farrell's bullpen was superb last night. Biagini, and in there for a called strike. Mookie out of Nashville, Tennessee. Here's the 3-1 of the Sox leadoff man. He's taking it as high, ball 4. So the Red Sox have runners at first and second. Nobody out. And Dustin Pedroia to dig in. He's working on a 3-hit game. He's 3 for 4. Tomorrow at noon, don't miss Red Sox first pitch, presented by the great folks at Joseph Abood. Available at Men's Warehouse. TC Jim Rice, Steve Lyons give you all access on Jackie Bradley and his daily life during spring training. Plus, David Price takes the hot seat and an all-new installment of Red Sox Small Talk. Pedroia with a single in the 1st inning, a single in the 5th, an RBI double in the 6th inning, and now hitting .333 on the young season. 2 men on, nobody out in the 8th inning. I don't think you can have enough runs against Toronto.
No, the more the merrier, because Toronto, as we know, and as everybody in baseball knows, can put them on the board in a hurry. And when you're facing this lineup as a pitcher, the one thing you want to stay away from is walks, because they can turn those walks into 2 runs with one swing of the bat very quickly.
There's our poll, and Pedroia's big day right now, well in the lead on what you want Jerry to talk about on the postgame show. 1 ball and 1 strike. You're already cheating on your notes.
Well, I know he's got 3 hits and he's got a couple of RBIs. That I do know.
You're wise to get in front, Jerry Remy. He may add to it right here. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Little looper toward right. Bautista in. Puts that away, and the runners retreat to 1st and 2nd. And Petey now 3 for 5 on the day. 1 away. Xander Bogaerts up next. Rusney Castillo has 2 hits today. Dustin Pedroia with 3, and Bogaerts is looking for his second. Robbie Ross Jr. throws in the bullpen. He's been up twice, so you'd think he'd get in next. Xander hit .320 last year, second highest batting average in the American League, and only 22 years old. That's outside for ball 1.
He's seeing a steady diet of curveballs too in this game today. Last time up, struck out on a curveball by Leon. Starts him off with a curveball here.
1-0 hammer to center field, driving back Pilar. Still backing up short of the track now, and will make the catch. Back to tag Swihart, and he'll advance to third base as he slides in. 2 down. And Xander just missed one there.
Yeah, he did. That ball actually carried pretty good inside with the dome closed all the way back to the warning track. Swihart had plenty of time to go back to third base, tag, and advance. Always better on third base, can score on a wild pitch, pass ball. Pretty swing right there by Bogaerts, but I think he knew it was not quite enough when he made contact.
Travis Shaw will try to pick up the 9th run of the day for the Red Sox, who lead it 8-4 in the 8th inning. He did drive in a run with a double in the 3rd inning. 1 for 4 this afternoon. 1st and 3rd for the Sox with 2 away. Pounded in there for strike 1. With a victory today, the Red Sox would be 3-1, and Toronto would dip to 2-4. You know, Toronto was not even a .500 team at the All-Star break last year. They won the division, and they were a powerhouse team, but they scuffled for a portion of the season.
You know, August and September was spectacular for the Blue Jays.
They had David Price by then. He went 9-1 for them.
Tulowitzki.
The 1-1 runner at first goes. Mookie on the run. No throw by Tolle. He's going to be safe at second base. So Betts with a steal. And now there are 2 men in scoring position. First of 2016 for Mookie.
No intention at all of throwing through there either by Tolle, just faking the throw down to second base. They were in the shift.
Base hit will mean 2 more runs. Big cut and a miss by Travis.
Keeping that ball away from Shaw in this at bat. Everything to the outside part of the plate or off the outside edge.
They do push Goins, the second baseman, into shallow right field on the shift. Two down, 2 on, and the 2-2 to Shaw. Down he goes for strike 3, and the Red Sox will strand 2. We are off to the bottom of the 8th, getting late in Toronto, and the Red Sox are up 4 runs. Southwest Airlines. Transparency. Low fares, nothing to hide. Back at Rogers Center in Toronto, the Red Sox with an 8-4 lead. The big innings were the third and again in the fifth when they scored 3 times. And the pitching is tightened up for the Red Sox the last several innings. Koji was very good 1-2-3 in the seventh. And now comes Robbie Ross Jr., the left-hander from Lexington, Kentucky.
And see the numbers from last season. 54 appearances for Robbie Ross. 254 batting average against. Gave up 59 hits though in 60 2/3 innings. Almost 1 per inning.
Gets a difficult part of the order. Encarnacion, Tulowitzki, and Carrera in the 8th inning. Encarnacion 2 for 6 against the southpaw. To the bottom of the 8th, and the first pitch right down the middle for strike 1. Stephen Wright tomorrow afternoon at 1:07 against Marco Estrada in the last game of this series. But we will see Toronto soon enough, because after the Orioles on the very first part of the opening Fenway Park homestand, which begins on Monday, Toronto will be in for 4 games, including Patriots Day. Good seats are still available for Patriots Day on the 18th for the 11:05 first pitch. One of the truly great days on the sports calendar in America. Punch foul. We were hoping that today would be a big day for Boston sports fans. The Red Sox have played very well today so far, but the Bruins went down to defeat against Ottawa. Went down hard today in the Garden. Ground ball to third base, jam shot, friendly bounce for Sandoval. 1 man out. Tonight at 10 on NESN Sports Today, we have a complete breakdown of the NHL playoff picture, plus highlights from the NCAA Men's Hockey Championship in Tampa. NESN Sports Today presented by People's United Bank. See what know-how can do. Osuna, their closer, starting to work in the bullpen. They need to get him some work. Tulowitzki. He lays off strike 1. Tulowitzki today 1 for 3. Now to his 2nd season in the American League. Tulowitzki was a first-round draft pick of the Colorado Rockies in 2005, and with it a $2.3 million signing bonus. He bought himself a Cadillac Escalade, and then he bought his parents a new house in Santa Clara, California. He said, growing up, we always rented. I wanted to do something great for my folks. That's out number 2.
Now, right now, Robbie Ross is doing something great for the Red Sox. Back-to-back hitters getting ground balls. Big part of the lineup here in the 8th inning.
Now they're going to bring up Chris Colabello for his first at bat of this series. Gets a big hand from the fans. He did yesterday, because so many of them are aware of his rather extraordinary story to get to the major leagues. Kind of story they hire Hollywood scriptwriters to write. Out of Framingham, Massachusetts. 32 years old, 6'4", 210 pounds. Largely ignored out of Milford High and Assumption College. Has 0 interest from major league teams. He toiled for 7 years playing for the Worcester Tornadoes and something called the Independent Canadian American Association. And yet here he is in the big leagues. Line drive caught by Shaw. Travis snags that, and it's a 1-2-3 for Robbie Ross. He gets him in order. We're on to the 9th, 8-4. The Red Sox in command. chance to be a live studio audience for NESN Clubhouse this season. Visit NESNClubhouse.com, click on studio audience, and enter your son or daughter's team. This experience includes a pizza party before the show and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be a part of the studio audience. Red Sox up 8-4. We're going to the 9th inning. A couple of changes now for Toronto. Colabello will stay in the game to play left field. And Roberto Osuna, the hard-throwing right-hander, he's their closer. He'll take over. He's trying to get him some work here. Gets it up there to the mid to upper 90s and has a very good split change as well. Hanley Ramirez, Pablo Sandoval, Brock Holtz up against him here in the 9th inning. And the Red Sox ahead by 4 runs. They've really silenced the big crowd for the second straight time here in Toronto, last night and again today. Hanley 1 for 4 with a 2-run triple that bounced over the head of Bautista in right field. Took a crazy, bizarre hop and just ate Bautista alive for 3 bases.
Yeah, that's a big part of the game for the Red Sox right there, getting that triple, drive in 2 runs. The Red Sox scored 3 in that inning.
And Osuna, bounding ball to third base. Nice stab on a short hop by Barney. 1 out in the 9th inning for the Red Sox. Tomorrow at 12:30. Don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live, presented by DCU. TC, Jim Rice, Steve Lyons preview Stephen Wright's first start. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? So we'll see a knuckleball on consecutive days. Didn't go great for R.A. Dickey today. 5 runs, 8 hits, 7 runs allowed, although he did strike out 9. At times he was dancing way too much for Tolley, the catcher, as Sandoval fouls one away.
I was just thinking the same thing. You know, is it possible for a knuckleball to dance too much? If that was the case, that happened today to Dickey, because Tolley was having big time problems with him.
Several thudding off the mitt, rolling to the backstop in key situations. Red Sox capitalized. Down and in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sandoval has struck out 3 times and taken a walk. His first start at third base. Rockhold would be next. Lunge there, popped it up into right. Encarnacion and Goins will make the play. Second baseman for the grab, and they're 2 down in the 9th. Robbie Ross will be sent back out there. The bullpen's a quiet place right now for the Red Sox. Leading 8-4 in the 9th. Brock has gone 1 for 4. He doubled back in the 5th inning. He struck out in the 4th inning, but a pass ball was charged to Tolley. Holt advanced to first base despite the K, and eventually he came on to score. Brock Holt continues to have an impact in every game he plays in. Fouled that one off his foot. Nobody on base, 2 down. Fouled away. Just got a piece of a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
That's a little bit nasty there. 95, a little bit of tail on it, going away from Brock Holt, and he slaps it foul to the opposite way.
Osuna's a popular guy. Got a giant hand when they introduced him in their home opener last night. Red Sox would rally to win, though, 8-7. They have gotten 8 more today. Red Sox are averaging 7 runs a game in the first 4 games of the schedule for John Farrell. That was a wild game, though, last night. I walked into John's office this morning and he said, hey, we had him all the way. Had him all the way. Punch foul again, still 0-2.
Well, if that's true, and I'm not sure it is, that's a good feeling for a club to have. And no matter what the score is, we have the ability to come back and win the ball game.
That sense of urgency we talked about throughout spring training continues. The 0-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Down to go strike 3, and that'll do it for the Red Sox. We go to the last half of the ninth. The Red Sox trying to make it 2 straight. Robbie Ross back out to work. Hockey. Don't miss an all-new episode today at 3:30 on SN Plus. And for more information on getting involved in the show, visit bostonbruins.com/Bruins Academy. Robbie Ross 13 times last year, pitched more than an inning. He'll do it again. The Red Sox hope all through the rest of the ninth inning and lock up a win here. Russell Martin is going to hit for Goins. So a pinch batter to begin the bottom of the ninth. Red Sox ahead 8-4. And looking to go 3-1 out of the gate. Martin with a cold start. He's 1 for 16. He actually appeared last night late in the game at third base. He's their #1 catcher. He's played there before. He's also played a little second base. Really good athlete. 1-2. 8 runs on 11 hits for the Red Sox, 1 error. For Toronto, 4 runs on 7 hits and 1 error. Sox have had all the scoring chances over the last 5 or 6 innings. They've left 8 men on base, and Toronto has stranded 5. Right now, Rick Porcello would get the win and be 1-0 on the season. Fouled away. Porcello went 6. He gave up 4 runs, 7 hits. After a rocky first couple of innings, really first few innings, he settled in after that. In his last 3, he was very tough. He struck out 6 men today. So it got better as the day went on. 2-2 the count on Martin.
Yeah, I felt with Porcello today, it wasn't as much as getting ground ball outs. It was that his location throughout the strike zone got better as the day went on. I wouldn't say it was a typical Porcello day with the ground balls.
Swing and a miss, and down he goes, strike 3. Popped out of the middle Swihart, but he strikes out, 1 away in the ninth.
Robbie Ross doing very well. I mean, a 1-2-3 eighth inning, 2 ground ball outs and a line drive out. Now the strikeout to Martin in a pinch hitting situation. They want the fastball away. That's exactly where it goes, to the outside part of the plate, and the swing and miss by Martin.
And 93 from the left side.
Yeah.
Sox bullpen has set down 8 straight. That brings up Barney. That's strike 1. Also at 93. He is 1 for 3 today with a single in the 5th inning. Red Sox ahead 8-4. A strike.
That's nasty right there too by Robbie Ross.
Justin Smoke swinging a bat in the on deck area. He would bat for Tolley. 0-2 ground ball. Here comes Pedroia. Beatty's had a big day. 2 down. Dustin Pedroia with 3 hits. So a lot of good stuff happening for these Boston Red Sox here in Toronto. We mentioned this last night. I mean, the Red Sox finished last year, but they had a winning record against the Blue Jays. They went 10-9 against the division champs, so had a lot of good games against them. And 2 more, certainly to this point, here in 2016, on the verge of winning the first 2 meetings. First one in there for a called strike on Smoke. 250 hitter. No homers or RBIs since we did against the Red Sox last year. 4 home runs. 1-1. Nobody on base for Toronto. And a lot of fans beginning to make their way to the exits. Well, that one strikes the home plate umpire, Jerry Lane. That one skipped up there. They've heard that Jerry Remy would like a clear avenue home back to the hotel. So get going.
Hey, Dave, you're right there with me. I mean, we spent a long time getting back just out of the few blocks around this ballpark last night.
Go about 5 blocks, took us 40 minutes.
Friday night, big crowd here, the city alive and electric.
The Red Sox got the win. And a 1 out away from making it 2 straight against Toronto. Ross trying to pin it down. Here's the 2-1. Foul back. So the Sox are a strike away. Red Sox win this game and they win the series no matter what happens tomorrow. Dustin Pedroia smiling about a nice day. Here's the 2-2 from the southpaw. And it is in there for strike 3, and this one is over. The Red Sox have won it by a final score of 8-4, and indeed they have won the series regardless of what happens tomorrow. Rick Porcello picks up the win as he goes 6 strong innings, and Tom Caron, that is 2 in a row against the Blue Jays here at Rogers Center.